have word that we are ready for our next run. Our next runner is a phenomenal speedrunner, posting an extremely respectable time in the Hollow Knight leaderboards. But let's throw all of that out the window and let's give a Multithon welcome to Quacksilver as they race the ever head-scratching, inexplicable IGN % run of Hollow Knight. Quack, what do you got for us?
Hi friends. We're really doing this. Hello. I'm Quacksilver. I am joined today by my eternal and ever-present rival, Mila. Unfortunately, Insomnia, who was originally slated to be my race partner, is very sick, so everyone in chat please wish her well with me. But it is just going to be us for the next little bit, going through unquestionably the first and probably the last time that the amazing IGN % run of Hollow Knight gets run at a marathon. And I will tell you all so much more about what that is going to be, but I think we should probably get started here. So I'm going to kick off this run in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, Quack.
Thank you. So, friends, have you ever played a video game casually before? Have you ever gotten lost in a Metroidvania before? This is a bit of a throwback category to, in my opinion, some of the iconic OG meme categories of speedruns. For the younger folks in the audience, way back in the Dark Ages, there used to be this thing called a magazine, right? And in those magazines, there used to be walkthroughs occasionally for video games. And that's how we got 2 of the coolest speedrun categories to ever do it. That, of course, being Nintendo Power % and Club Nintendo %, both speedruns of Super Metroid, where you followed the magazine walkthroughs while beating the game as fast as possible. I think one of them is a 100% speedrun that just like tells you the order to get the things in, and one of them is an any % speedrun. So, obviously, Hollow Knight is a little bit more zoomer of a game than Super Metroid is. However, as luck would have it, Hollow Knight does have an online IGN walkthrough, collaboratively built in the Multithon spirit, by, I want to say, 27 different games journalists. And what this speedrun is going to be doing is I am going to follow that guide to the best of my ability, with a couple of asterisks that I'll get into as we do the run, while beating the game, getting the any % ending, as fast as possible. Now, I can think of no better tone setter for what this guide is like than you saw me in this tutorial area just grab the lifeblood cocoon that was there. It's that 2 extra health that I've got. The guide tells us to get this, and so we get this. However, the guide is not a speedrunner. So the guide is unaware that we can do things like manipulate our save point by going through the King's Pass door, and then save and quit out to pick up this charm, Fury of the Fallen, a little bit faster. So I'm going to immediately lose the lifeblood that the guide just told me to pick up in the name of going fast. Now stretch that out for about 2 hours, and you have this run. I'm so excited.
And I am so confused and quite frankly, Quack, I feel called out. I know I'm old, but just the mention of the Nintendo Power guides, it brings me right back to actually having it in front of me and doing Ocarina of Time or insert, Super Nintendo game here.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit zoomer of that. I was not a gaming magazine kid. I was a printed walkthrough kid, though. Like, the dedicated strategy guides, I remember cracking open the strategy guide to, the Generation 3 Pokemon games for Christmas, and, really just drinking in all of the information I could possibly get. That's okay, we don't need tech. We're doing IGN %. The guide doesn't know about tech. What the guide does know about, however, is maps. Because we wouldn't want to get lost in our speedrun. Every single area that I go through in this game, I will be picking up the map for, including some areas where it makes literally no sense whatsoever, because every objective that I need to grab in the area is actually in the opposite direction of the map. but we don't want to get lost, so we're gonna pick up the map. There are 9 maps that I can pick up? It's some number. It's a stupidly large number relative to the average number of maps a speedrun picks up, which is, of course, 0. Something else you'll note here is that I'm grabbing a whole bunch of geo. The game, or the guide, excuse me, is written for, like, a normal walkthrough of the game, and so it makes a lot of assumptions about normal casual player behavior. When we hit a lull after I'm done explaining, I'd love to hear from chat, from donations about, your casual playthrough experience of this game, and if it was anything at all like this. But one of the things that most casual playthroughs do have in common is they assume that you're killing basically every enemy that you walk across, which speedruns, of course, tend not to do. So the early game is actually a bit of a geo-optimization challenge, because we don't have many ways to get geo for ourselves. And we need a whole bunch of it because I have to get some very important shopping trips done before I can leave this first area of the game. And if you're familiar with Hollow Knight, you'll probably have a good idea of what sort of resource the guide wants me to pick up before I start exploring this world. I'm going to take this bench. As with the King's Past hard save, I'm going to be manipulating my save point a fair bit throughout this run. It's one of the only things that... Oh, wow, I got that tick-tick buggo. Amazing. One of the only things that I am allowed to do to defy the guide, well, we'll get into a couple of things later, is I'm allowed to route around the items that I need to get however I want. So there is going to be a lot of judicious save and quits. Alright, that guy mostly behaved. I'm gonna go up to 5 here, just to be super safe. Those big husks deal 2 damage with their club swings, so it's surprisingly easy to die. But we're taking that bench down in Crossroads, and I'm gonna walk back up to the start. I'm actually gonna get this geo, because I'm a little bit low. We're gonna walk all the way back up to the start and then save quit back. And I know that you are probably thinking to yourself, but Quack, that was a stag station. That's the game's fast travel. Why didn't you just open the stag and stag back to Dirtmouth? And that is because, of course, the guide is telling me when I am allowed to pick up the stags, and it's not until I pick up this item. We're gonna play this safe. This grub is not in the guide, I'm so sorry. Gentle reminder, of course, that there is a bid war open to save or abandon the one grub that the guide doesn't tell you not to save, but doesn't tell you to save. So we'll get to that later. It's fine. It's chill. What else can I say? I'm also going to say that we are coming up on our major item purchase, and it's time to talk about orange notes. In the IGN guide, which I'm assuming is a dutiful member of Twitch chat, you have almost certainly looked up and are following along now to keep me honest, but in the IGN guide, there are a number of orange notes that the guide itself explicitly says are optional. In the interest of keeping this run to a reasonable marathon estimate, we have chosen to ignore all of those optional orange notes. And so that means, if you guessed that I was picking up the Wayward Compass item here, you would be wrong. Because the only thing the guide says is a necessity is the quill. Now, if you're familiar with Hollow Knight speedrunning, you will know that literally no category, regardless of glitch level, of objective, of literally anything, instructs you to pick up the quill. That's because the quill is objectively pure time loss and nothing else. What the quill does is it records the rooms that I have walked through in full detail in the map, so that, you know, you have a complete map, which is nice and fine, it's whatever. However, what it means practically for the speedrun is that every single time I sit down on the bench, there is an unskippable little animation where an icon pops up in the lower left corner of the screen that's like the knight scribbling. And so it's just pure time loss for the entirety of the run that I have to live with. This guide is perfect for speedrunners. You'll also notice that I have intentionally damaged down to 1 health here. I am going to focus up for a little bit, because we're going to go for a quick kill on this first boss here. Good. The goal is to not let him ever actually swing the mace.
Great job so far, Quack.
Nice. Okay. We're chilling. I'm gonna not get owned by a rock falling from the sky. Okay, we are now, in fact, chilling. So the charm that I equipped there, which thankfully the guide knew about, was a charm called Fury of the Fallen, that almost doubles the knight's nail damage, but only when it's at 1 HP. So, you know, this is the only time I'm going to be equipping it in a marathon, because that quick kill is extremely consistent, as long as I don't mess around and die. But it's going off at the next save point, and then it's never coming back on. That giant explanation out of the way, I'm going to pick up my first spell here, the Vengeful Spirit. You'll also probably hear me refer to it as the Fireball a bunch. And we're going to do a little Fireball tutorial area. This is a great time. Joe, what are we looking at in terms of donations? How's that Band Shops incentive looking right now?
Absolutely. Let's get some of those incentives updates out of the way. We're currently looking at $165 of the $250 needed to prevent you from getting any items. Now, everybody, if you want to make Quack's journey a little bit harder, because if following IGN's directive was not hard enough, you want to make it that much harder, we can make it happen, but that is coming up shortly. It's going to be closing very, very soon. If you want to snipe it, we can get it done. And a friendly reminder to everybody, we now have a target that is opened up, and that would be the Macro Shooting Insight upgrade to Very Hard DLC. That needs $100 to unlock it. So when you go to donate, make sure you select that poll to save or abandon the grub. Select that target. You can split up your donations accordingly, and let's unlock even more Multithon. And do we have a couple of seconds for some donations that came in too, Quack?
Absolutely.
All right, we had a $10 donation from Silcanet that says, "For the frames." Thank you very much, Silcanet. They put that towards the the poll of Abandon the Grub. And then we also had a $10 donation from Nix that says, "Quack beating Hollow Knight as IGN intended in 2024? Yes, your eyes do not deceive you." And that also went towards Abandon the Grub. Those frame savers are coming up big for you, Quack, right now. Ooh, well, we just got someone popping in for Save the Grub. I'll get that donation on the next call there, but we're currently sitting at $65 for Abandon and $55 for Save the Grub. $10 difference between the two. I believe in you, Twitch chat. You get to pick what happens to that poor grub we saw. Back to you, Quack.
Amazing. So, first, to say a little bit more about Band Shops. So, one of the many curiosities of this guide, it's not a perfect perfect for speedrunners sort of affair like the old magazines would be, in that there's some unavoidable semantics, because there are some shopkeepers in this game. Because unlike Super Metroid, Hollow Knight came out in 2017, and so late-stage capitalism was already a thing, and so we gotta deal with money. The way the guide deals with money is it just says, hey, here is this shop. What do you like? Here is the things the shop sells. It doesn't, with one or two exceptions, make any explicit instruction of you when it comes to shops. So, what the basic rule for us is, when a shopkeeper comes up in the guide, I have to go say hi to that shopkeeper. And as soon as I do, I am able but not required to purchase anything. That's because we didn't want to force purchase nothing, and we didn't want to force purchase everything, because there's like several thousand geo worth of stuff in shops, that if I had to purchase it all right now, we'd just be watching me geo farm for like half an hour. And while there are some categories that do that I am a fan of, that's not what we need in this marathon. So, this critically matters in one specific way, and that is the Shaman Stone charm. If you're familiar with Hollow Knight, Shaman Stone is a charm that drastically increases my combat effectiveness by like a whole bunch. There's the quill animation. By like a whole bunch. It buffs the damage of all my spells, and it increases the size of their hitboxes, which means I can double hit enemies with it. And if I'm allowed to grab it, then I will at the first opportunity, and it'll make the combat a little bit easier throughout the run. However, most Hollow Knight speedruns get Shaman Stone, basically, unless you've got something way better to be doing, you're grabbing it. And so we thought it would be fun, if you wanted to make this run a little bit harder, to ban Shaman Stone from this run. So this is me talking to Sly, who we just rescued. That's our first shopkeeper. There will actually be one required purchase from Sly a little bit later in the run, and it's going to be extremely funny when it does come up, because it comes up at a time that makes a lot of sense. But we are going to be heading into our next area here, and just as a heads up for Twitch chat, that we are going to have to close that ban shop's incentive after I kill the next boss. So we got about a couple minutes to still make some magic happen there.
Absolutely. 180 of the 250 needed. I believe in you, Twitch chat. Come on. Hey, you know what? Let's say you bought the new Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom. You know what? And you're playing that. Let's do an Echoes of Wisdom tax. Let's get a $5 train roll. And if you were playing that awesome Echoes of Wisdom game for the Switch, I'd love to see it.
I did not purchase it because I knew I would do that instead of prepping for Multithon Rivals 2024. So if you're paying that tax, not only let me know, but tell me how it is.
So far, so good, Quack, if I do have to say. It's actually, it's pretty solid.
No, that's what I was expecting. So this is Green Path. Green Path is basically the speedrunner's fireball tutorial area. You saw me go for a fireball skip there, and now I'm actually not going to go for a fireball skip for a second or two. Instead, I'm going to take this criminally underappreciated bench, the waterfall bench, and that's because, you guessed it, it's time to go get the map. Now, this is one of those beautiful areas where the Green Path map is in basically the opposite direction of every other thing we need in Green Path right now, but the guide says we gotta go get the map right now, so I'm gonna go get the map right now. It's just a lovely, this is like the intended path for Green Path, so speedrunners, since like 5 minutes into the speedrun history of Hollow Knight, speedrunners discovered that you could skip up to the left in the last room that I was in, the very tall room, and we can skip having to go all the way around the bottom of Green Path. But the map is over here on the intended path because it's still an early area and the game wants you to, like, get the map. So I'm just gonna go there, quit back to my waterfall bench, and then do the skip anyway, because it's still faster than walking all the way around in a big spiral around Green Path. One consequence of this save and quit, though, is that it means that I don't have any soul, so I can't actually use the fireball. So we have to do a common speedrun backup strat for this fireball skip to get us across this gap. Everyone say hi to Eric the Squit, this little mosquito friend.
Hi,
here.
Eric.
Yeah, he's going to just thank you, Eric. And with that, we're actually moving and grooving like we would in a real speed run. I'm gonna go for one more fireball skip here to skip a little bit in this room. That looks good, nice.
Nice.
And with that, we can talk a little bit about double hits. So, Vengeful Spirit can double hit enemies. It can actually triple hit enemies, although it requires Shaman Stone, and there are basically only a couple of like extenuating circumstances where it realistically triple hits them. But what I'm gonna try and do is bait this Moss Knight into jumping backwards, which he very obediently did, and we'll walk into the oncoming fireball multiple times, and go ahead and die a little bit faster. A lot of Green Path is built around soul collection, and making sure that we have enough mana to cast our spells, which this is going perhaps even suspiciously well. And now it's time to talk about semantics one more time, because I'm coming up on one of the final semantic concessions to make this IGN % run marathon viable, and that's relics. So the guide doesn't do a good job of mentioning relics, which there are several different types of relics that you can pick up throughout your journey that you can sell to a shopkeeper much later on in exchange for a whole bunch of money. And they are far and away the fastest sort of econ that you can do. And the guide mentions like one of them that's literally at your feet, that you're, like, forced to pick up otherwise. And that would, again, make so much of the run just me looping the same rooms over and over again, killing enemies for money, which, while extremely funny, is not the sort of thing we're looking for in a marathon. So we have allowed the concession that I'm allowed to pick up extraneous relics just to make my econ move a little bit faster, which I bring up because that shiny object that I just picked up was in fact a relic that I'm hanging on to for later. And now we're into the second boss. Everyone say hi to Hornet. Once Hornet's done, I need to know whether shops are banned. So now is a great last chance for some donations.
Final call, everybody. All aboard that $5 Echoes train. We did have a couple of donos come in. Quack, can I get those in?
By all means.
We had a $15 donation from Anonymous that says, by donating to the poll, banning shops, and getting it on the milestone, it's a 3-for-1, by the way. Absolutely true. Thank you so much, Anonymous. A $5 donation from Anonymous that says, get me on this train, please. We're going to be taking off very quickly. I know we can make it happen. And another $5 donation from Anonymous that goes, choo-choo! Echoes train also. Did you know you could put your donation to the poll and target? Y'all are doing my job for me. You're making it too easy. I'm just going to hang out here, Quack, and let all the donators just tell everyone what to do.
World-class donors here at Multithon Rivals. All right.
We're currently at 190 of the 250. I know you can do it. We're so close. Sorry, Quack, go for it.
All right, we are right there. It is time, because now that I have the dash, once again, we're going back, we're doubling back on areas that we've seen before, but I do have to introduce myself to Salubra, because this is the point at which the guide mentions, hey, did you know Salubra, the shopkeeper, is a thing? So coming up in about 10 seconds here, I'm gonna buy Shaman Stone unless you tell me not to.
Oh, we're at $240. $10 away, everybody. We are so close.
Hovering. Don't make this easy for me, Twitch chat. Yeah, I've already econned for it. Maybe I just won't equip it. Make it happen. With that, we're gonna move on towards our next area. I won't put it on at this bench.
Close.
If you can BB me to it by the time I
hit it.
We hit it?
Quack, $250.
All
$250. Twitch chat, thank you so much for doing that. We're gonna make Quack's life that much harder in this head-scratching run of IGN Percent and Hollow Knight. Quack, this is gonna be fun. I can't wait to do this with you.
I am excited. This is actually maximally punishing because you made me drop the Geo on it. So now I need to make sure that the econ is good for having bought Shaman Stone, but I'm gonna honor it because y'all are the absolute best Multithon, and we're not gonna equip it for any fight. It's just gonna sit in my inventory taunting me. It was Mila's idea. So with that, I am gonna pick up one more relic here. We're actually gonna do a skip again. Totally intentional. IGN definitely wants me to do this. Definitely a thing. Don't ask. Don't worry about it. It's fine. IGN knew about how busted fireballs were in this video game. It's so fine. But we are just sort of moving and grooving towards our next area where our wall jump ability is going to lurk, as well as, in the absence of Shaman Stone, the new most important charm in the run. So, Joe, if you want to share with the people some of those lovely donations that help lock away Shaman Stone, now would be a great time.
I've got you covered, Quack. So we had a $50 donation from Anonymous come in that said, milestone, please. And thank you, Anonymous. Your back must be hurting because you are carrying this team. Thank you so much for your generosity. We also had a $10 donation from Anonymous that said, all about. Thank you very much, Anonymous, for that. And that Echoes train that we got rolling again. If you are playing the new Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom, get that $5 in. It's a Zelda tax, y'all. And we also had a $10 donation from the Valiant Sun that said no shops allowed. All of that going towards Blue Path. Thank you so much, everybody, for making that happen.
Y'all are the best. I say that now. We'll see. Ask me again if I think y'all are the best, like 6 bosses in. But we're chilling. We're chilling. So I did just unlock the Queen Station stag, which is actually a useful stag. Thankfully, although the maps that I go and get are just pure time loss for the sake of, you know, honoring the casual playthrough, the stags are actually quite useful. We're going to grab basically all of the fast travel points that are even remotely helpful, and we are going to acquire the maximum help possible from all of them. There, however, I did just grab the map for our next area, the Fungal Wastes, and I'm gonna grab another relic here. So now would be a good time to talk about one of the things that I'm curious to hear about, because we do still, of course, have the Save Abandon the Grub bid war. I'm gonna let that explode away from me. And while you are thinking of brilliant and pithy things to put in those donation comments, one thing I am curious about is what was your casual route through Hollow Knight? Because obviously Hollow Knight, a famously interconnected, a famously wide open Metroidvania, and I have found in my experience with the game that no two casual playthroughs of Hollow Knight look remotely alike, which is awesome. And I can share a little bit about my casual playthrough as we move along in this run. But right now, we're gonna do this mini-boss. Nice, okay. This is going to get me a Charm Notch. It's the only Charm Notch actually called for by the route. There are some Charm Notches also available to purchase in the Salubra shop, but y'all have just banned that, so I'm gonna be rocking 4 Charm Notches for the entire rest of the run. This is our next shopkeeper, Leg Eater. He actually wants us to pay him to open up his shop, but we're not gonna do that. And I do need to bench and get the lovely quill animation. So we are moving towards... Alright. I tried to get fancy. It's been slightly too long for me to get fancy with this. We'll just... that counts. We're moving towards the wall jump, which is the ability that truly opens up the game. It is more or less linear, obviously with many, many years of dedicated speedrunners waiting patiently for Silksong. We've found a way to make basically every phase of the game non-linear. But at least in theory, the game is fairly linear up until Mantis Claw, and then it gets wide, wide open. So almost every speedrun that's not trying to be fancy in some way will go Fireball into Dash, into Claw. We are going to be making a quick detour before Claw, however, for that most important charm I mentioned a little while ago, which would be the Dash Master charm. Dash Master is an incredibly simple but an incredibly powerful charm. It makes you go fast. Did you know going fast is good in a speedrun?
We love that. Love to see it, Quack.
Yeah, so it basically, cuts your dash refresh rate in like half, which is pretty nice. Because I don't have any better charms to be putting on, I'm going to be wearing Dash Master. I'm going to equip it at the next bench, and Dash Master plus other 2-notch charm is going to be my loadout for basically the rest of the run. Which is great, because I love moving a little bit faster. If in the Shaman Stoneful version of this route, you have to, like, juggle equipping Shaman and Dash Master, or you have to go into a state called Overcharmed, which is where you put on more charms than you're technically supposed to be able to, and it means you take double damage from everything, which is not a great way to be. Nice. Alright, the Mantises cooperated. Fun fact about the Mantises, despite all being visually identical, there's one Mantis there that just has a slightly different hitbox size and shape than the other Mantises. Like, its hitbox behaves as though it's permanently stuck in its attacking animation for some reason. This game is one of my favorite games of all time. It is also a little bit held together by prayer and duct tape. And I say that with so much love in my heart. With that, it's time for the real, true and forever reason that we run IGN%. And that's because it forces my favorite conceit in all of Hollow Knight speedrunning, and that is early Mantis Lords. So, in your casual playthrough of this game, you may have come across the Mantis Lords, this powerful trio of enemies that are one of the coolest, like, consistently ranked, I'm gonna hit this lever early, consistently ranked as people's favorite boss fight in the game. It is almost never optimal to fight them this early because their patterns are incredibly phase-based, where they hang out on the walls or just hang out completely invincibly, and so you basically never want to be doing this. That said, my history with routing Hollow Knight runs is that I have tried to force early Mantis Lords in basically every category I've ever had a hand in routing. And so one where it is literally forced by the givens of the route is beautiful and perfect, actually. I will not be accepting criticism at this time. If you didn't fight early Mantis Lords in your casual, I don't trust you, and you should donate to call me out about that fact.
Hold on, let me get my dono ready then.
Alright, the second phase, obviously, you got two of them. This is actually a surprisingly good phase. When they are just, like, chilling on the walls in the two-lord phase, it can be a little rough because they spend so much time just, like, disappeared from the battlefield. That was pretty nice, especially for not having Shaman. That was a Mantis Lord's fight I am extremely happy with. We are feeling good about that.
That was super respectable.
It's a good
sign. That was great.
It's a good sign for the rest of the run, I think. When Mantis Lords behave, it's a good omen. So now every Mantis in this area is like my friend. I don't think I actually need to hit that. I think I just save quit out here. Something I should mention, because of how convoluted this guide is and how late-breaking of an idea this was to submit for Multithon, I do literally have the IGN guide up just in case something goes dramatically wrong here. So there's no need to call me out. I can call myself out just fine. Just fine, Twitch chat. But everyone be sure to point and laugh at me if I do have to, like, very strenuously consult it. All right.
We are all following Quack with really bated breath. We're following that guide with you.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I have now collected it. So that's all the rewards. One of the things that the Mantis Lords gave us was a Halonest seal, one of the only relics that the guide actually tells you explicitly to pick up. I almost just autopiloted to equipping Shaman. Someone slapped my wrists. Here we go. We're having fun. I'm having fun in my favorite video game. Now we are trekking into the City of Tears. I would also say, right now, this is a fairly normal, fairly average casual playthrough move. There is a dev-intended shortcut to be able to skip fighting the False Knight, that first boss that I performed the Fury quick kill on, which basically, well, not basically about half of the speedruns take advantage of to just skip fighting him. It's in there because the devs wanted players to have the option to go get a spell first before fighting the first boss, so you could, like, go back, loop back around to the False Knight with a spell in tow, and it makes the fight considerably easier. But I would say that, like, the fairly average casual playthrough behavior is you get the city crest from beating False Knight. We're gonna put it in this gate. And then drop that gate behind us. That gate closes automatically. You're trapped in here and you have to find a way out. Which is, good fun game design. We love when a Metroidvania restricts your options so that it can playfully open them up again later. And now, friends, it's time I made a confession. You see, losing Shaman Stone, hi Coral, everyone say hi Coral. Losing Shaman Stone is not actually going to be the most painful thing in this run, because, and if this was true for your casual, oh hello friend, you also have to tell me about it in the donations. Most casual players don't seem to understand just how busted good spells are in this video game. Like, literally the first piece of advice you get if you're transitioning from being a casual player of this game into a speedrunner of this game is use spells. Your soul is not for healing unless you absolutely need it. Spells are great. Your base nail does 5 damage. Your basic fireball with no upgrades does 15 damage. It's just better. Nail scaling takes so long to get online. However, every casual player says, that's my soul, I need it for healing, spells are bad. Nail is how we get things done. And so, understanding this, the collective minds at IGN have very wisely given us, the player, a nail upgrade right away at the beginning of City. Because we are only getting any percent, because we're not going to be getting the true ending of the game, this doesn't even, like, majorly complicate the route. Certain bosses in this game, their overall health scales with the number of nail upgrades you have, but those bosses are almost exclusively on the path to the true ending, which we don't care about. So it's basically pure upside. I am also going to visit Lem here, and I'm going to sell all of my relics. Everyone send me your mashing energy. We're going to mash through this shop dialogue. Something I haven't mentioned is that we're running in Chinese. This is also not explicitly called out by the guide, but Chinese is the fastest language in this game. Generally, when you see a speedrunner running in a non-native language of theirs, it's because it's faster. In this case, Chinese both has fewer text boxes and just an overall faster text scroll by like a healthy margin. English is actually one of the worst languages to speedrun the game in, the worst one being French. I'm so sorry, French speakers, but not ultimately that sorry. Alright. Here, so these are colloquially referred to as the DLC rooms, because on an earlier patch of the game, you can hit levers in City through like the floor and walls. But I'm running on the current patch of the game, and so we play the game honorably here. I guess it's also worth mentioning, I don't think I explicitly said this, but I'm not doing glitches. There are many glitched categories. I'm sort of morbidly curious to know what a glitched IGN percent run would be like, where you had to follow these routing instructions, but you could do major glitches. I don't actually know how much faster that would be. I think I've just nerd sniped myself here at Multithon. We're doing great.
Quack, do I have a quick second to give an update for everybody?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, we had a $5 donation from Nix that says, Quack, I'm gonna be so real. I had to buy the nail upgrade to beat Mantis Lords casually. It's okay, Nix. It's okay. We really appreciate you giving in those $5, and that $5 went towards our macro shooting insight target, and that's going to upgrade the play to the very hard difficulty DLC. That sits at $45 of the $100 needed to unlock it, but we need to meet that target before the end of this run and the start of that macro shooting insight run. So, Twitch chat, I believe in you. Make sure when you go to donate, you select that target, and we can make it happen.
I believe in each and every one of you, Twitch chat. I never have not believed. I'm on record as saying this many times. So this is another sort of curiosity of the route. We have to go all the way up here to get this fast travel point for later. It's one of our, like, intended ways out. I'm gonna save here just for the heal, even though I really shouldn't because of the quill animation. But then we're gonna go all the way back to the Soul Sanctum. And I'm trying to remember if I had nail upgrades for Mantis Lords. No, I think I fought Mantis Lords in my casual early. Obviously, I tried to route it into 100% of the speedruns, but I feel like I would have also done that. It's been so long. I played Hollow Knight for the first time early into the pandemic on the Switch, which was an experience. If you don't know, Hollow Knight runs in a way that is best described as technically. It technically runs on the Switch. But if you speedrun the game at all on PC, you know the Switch experience is somewhat akin to playing the game underwater. So, like, it's truly been a minute. I would be curious. I have not done a whole lot of playtime on the Switch since, like, 2021. I'm curious. I'm curious to know how it would hold up for me now. Shoutouts to people who speedrun the game on the Switch. The whole reason I picked up Hollow Knight for PC in the first place is because at the start of my speedrun journey, I was like, well, I've got the game on Switch, so I don't need to buy it again, because obviously not. It's like $15 whole for a 200-hour indie game? Why would you support devs like that? Please support devs. Friends, level with me here. Please support indie devs. But I also made the incredibly intelligent choice. Don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me. He hit me. I made the incredibly intelligent choice of starting my speedrun journey with the true ending speedrun, which is so much harder than any percent in general. And when it's done on Switch, it's like, oh, friends, it's so bad. I would not recommend. If you're getting into speedrunning Hollow Knight, do not start with Switch True Ending. But then I learned better. I made better choices. And now here we are. Well, I made some better choices. That was one of the Soulmaster openings of all time. Yeah, of course you were like right one or two hits away from the stagger. So this is Soulmaster. He's our next major boss here. I have to remember that he's gonna die a little bit faster than I think he is, despite having no shaman. Yeah, because of Nail 1. So Soulmaster, one of a whole bunch of bosses who don't actually scale with your nail upgrades. So one of the bosses where it's pure upside. A lot of the bosses in this game actually do scale with your nail upgrades, but they don't start scaling until you get the second or third upgrade. So with only one upgrade, we're chilling. Alright, that's Soulmaster.
That was a great fight.
Thank you. He behaved more or less. We do an early control there at the start of the fight. I didn't just dunk into spikes there to assert my dominance. I did it to gain control of the knight while the boss was in its scream animation. There are like conservatively 685 different ways to gain early control of some type in this game, and about half of them are major glitches and the other half are totally fine. It's a whole thing. But with that, I am going to just grab a little bit more econ here to make my life easier, because we're not out of the woods yet in terms of economizing for this run. Once again, I am forced to ignore this grub. This grub, I'm at least not going to, like, walk right by. Yeah, we're gonna pass him by that way. It's also worth noting here that I play Hollow Knight at an uncapped FPS because I like to live dangerously, but flying enemy speeds are directly correlated with your FPS, so that's why everything in Soul Sanctum moves at 800 miles an hour and hates me. It's because I never learn. I never learn. But with that, I am just going to be walking out of Soul Sanctum and back to the stag that you already saw me grab earlier. So, Joe, if we got messages or donations of any kind, you can let those rip for a minute or so.
Absolutely, I got you covered. Hey, you know, like you were saying, sometimes it's just duct tape and prayers, and that's all we need. And you know what? We have a brand new milestone incentive that just opened up, and that is for Fae Farm, and it is the Infinite Bee Glitch Showcase. We need to hit $500 overall raised for Blue Path, and if we can get that by the end of that Fae Farm run, we'll see Jay load up a separate save file that will give a small farm tour and then showcase the Infinite Bee Glitch with a jar of bees. You know what? It's like the TikTok infinite money glitch, but this time it's bees and not illegal. So you don't have to worry about getting arrested for, you know what, just going to an ATM and stealing money. Quite frankly, that's what it was. But what is not stealing money is donating to Blue Path. So when you make your way over, get those incentives on. We have a poll open, and that is the Hollow Knight save or abandon, that lone grub that we looked at the beginning of the run. Save the Grub is in the lead at $75. Abandon the Grub at $65. It's fighting back and forth. They're back and forth. Who is going to win the day? You get to say. So when you go to donate, select your choice. We also have that target, that macro shooting insight upgrade to very hard DLC, currently sitting at $45 of the 100 needed. And simply by donating, you get a 3-for-1. Get that donation going even further as you contribute towards that Fae Farm milestone incentive. Thank you, Quack, for the time. Floor is yours again.
Amazing. So now I get to talk about one of my favorite, one of the funniest parts of this guide, in my opinion. So I did just I purchased, actually, the Lumafly lantern, which the guide does explicitly call for. Now, the lantern obviously illuminates dark rooms. There are a number of dark rooms in the game. Which way do I want to go here? I think I want to go this way. There are a number of dark rooms in the game that speedrunners tend to just, you know, memorize the layout of and, like, do in the dark because speedrunners are like that. And you may be wondering, okay, so what's the dark room that we're doing? What, like, the guide expects you to do? No, my dear friend. It's so much funnier than that. The guide is very specific that you must have the Lumafly lantern by the time you go into the Royal Waterways, an area with a grand total of 0 dark rooms in it. However, there are aesthetically dark rooms, and by that what I mean is when I head into Waterways, you're going to notice that the knight is going to take out the lantern in some of the lower rooms. Oh no, he's got it out right now. There's no mechanical benefit to this, but I love the thought of, like, people going back and forth and making this guide and being like, well, he takes the lantern out, so you should really have it here. Like, the game wants you to do this. I just think that's so funny, and also it means that, incidentally, I don't have to do any dark rooms in this run, because the guide told me to get the lantern before going into Waterways. This is also far and away the worst offender, in that I got that bench. I am headed all the way to the left edge of Waterways to pick up the map for Waterways, after which I will be headed all the way to the right edge of Waterways to kill a boss and get some, like, items. And then I will not be doing anything else in left Waterways. Like, there's nothing else even here. It's just the map. We don't really go to lower Waterways ever in this run. There's some, like, DLC content that's down in lower Waterways that's not relevant. Also, the worst boss in the game is in lower Waterways, and I could not be more grateful that we avoid it. Not out of difficulty. Where's the worm that's hiding from me? There you are. Not out of difficulty, just out of aesthetics. Shoutouts to every single Fluke Marm hater in the chat. You are my people. But we now have the Waterways map, and so now we're gonna quit back and just go over to the other side of Waterways. Once again, this is basically pure downside. I lose all of my soul on this quit out again, so I have to get a bunch of soul really quickly here, so I'm just gonna, like, kill this, and I'm gonna kill you. And that's still not gonna be enough for the, like, fast cycle, is it? Where am I going? Quack, where are you going? So next boss is Dung Defender. The major conceit with Dung Defender is that he hides in the ground a lot, but we thankfully have the Desolate Dive spell, which was the spell I got from Soulmaster a little ways ago, and we can force Dung Defender out of the ground that way. There's, like, a very fast cycle you can do here that I'm not gonna do because if you skip this scream, it shuts off the music, and I think the music is kind of banging. Alright. I do, however, there is another screen partway through the fight that I want to try and be cognizant of when it is likely to happen. I heal to be safe. That wasn't it. Okay. Oh, it's because I don't have Shaman. Ha ha ha! Alright. Good counting, everyone.
That'll do it.
We're fine. We're chilling. I also would love to end this fight with Soul, if at all possible. Because as soon as Dung Defender dies, there is a passageway I want to... Whoop. There is a passageway I want to be in. We're just gonna let him pop out of the ground. There's a passageway I want to dive into right as soon as this fight ends. Alright, Brent, that's enough. Yeah, there we go. And so having Soul as soon as the fight ends means that I don't have to, like, leave the room, go get Soul, and then come back for that dive passageway. Because once again, this is, I think, the only other relic, other than the Mantis Lord's one, that is explicitly called for by the guide, which is this little hidden, out-of-the-way King's Idol down here. No idea why it's the one that is expressly called for. But, hey, IGN knows better than I do. This is my first time playing Hollow Knight, everyone. I hope I'm doing a good job. No one asked me what my total number of hours in this game are. We're all better off not knowing that.
I think we all have put in a fair amount of time into Hollow Knight, and it was worth every single minute put into it, Quack.
That is fair. Here's the thing about Hollow Knight, is that it's an extremely good video game. Now that's not technically like a boss or even a mini-boss, despite being a single non-respawning enemy, so that is once again just like free Geo for me. Oh, you actually kill me if I was like, I'm on 2 here, hang on a second. That's not great. Okay. So, this has gotta be up there for like the weirdest way to get to Dreamnail. So it's finally time. We've looped around it for long enough, but I think it's finally time to talk about what the actual plot of this video game is. I'm not convinced that the guide does it any earlier than here, but in order to beat the game, I need to acquire 3 Dreamers, so I'm gonna get an item in just a second called the Dream Nail to let me do just that. And I have to say, this is among the weirder ways to get the Dream Nail in a speedrun. We are coming up out of Right Side City. More often than not in speedruns, what they'll do is they'll do a skip to get to Resting Grounds, which is this area I've just taken the elevator towards. They'll do a skip to get into Resting Grounds early and use that as their access to the right side of City. However, we're going in a strange order. This was not my casual playthrough at all. I found my way here through the Crystal Peaks, which is an area we're going into in a fair bit later, actually. I guess not that much later. We're doing it after Dreamnail. But once again, let me know. Let me know what your casual route through this game was. I'm always curious. One of my favorite niceties is that text that's on my screen right now is telling me that the locations of the Dreamers have just been added to my map. If you don't have any maps, that text never displays, but we have all of the maps. And so it's my favorite instance of time loss. But with that, we're gonna actually do some plot here for a second. This Moth Spirit is going to lead me on a lovely platforms chase to the Dream Nail. No one has ever fallen off of these platforms while speedrunning this video game, ever. I have definitely never thrown PBs to falling off of these platforms. I have definitely not fallen off of these platforms in practice for this run earlier today. We're chillin'. Hello, friends. That's Dreamnail. I'm also gonna do a quick little skip here. It's called Seer Skip. There's an NPC called the Seer. And you never get to see her. That was slightly too long. The beat was a little bit too long. I am also going to grab this Whispering Root. And now I hear you asking, Quack, why are you grabbing this Whispering Root? I'm grabbing it because the IGN guide tells me to. Mostly to just be like, hey, there's a Whispering Root here. Does the IGN guide care about literally any other form of essence, which is what these glowing orbs are, in the entire run? No. Do you need to spend the essence on anything in the entire run? No. But we gotta pick up the Whispering Root, and I think that's beautiful.
So it sounds like the objectives are subjective. Thank you, IGN.
Yep. No, it's great. A lot of what the guide is, and I think it's actually very smart. Like if you're a first-time casual player, I can't flip that lever yet. That's the prank. That's one of the reasons I have the guide up. Is we have to go. I take this bench, and then we have to come back and open that stag a little bit later because I need to go this way first. A lot of what the guide is doing is it's like, hey, here's like a type of thing. Like, here's a Whispering Root, and now you know what Whispering Roots are, and to look out for them later on your journey, and you can, like, get them any that you cross. So it's really, like, a quirk of trying to honor the sort of Club Nintendo % style of thing, where we just take the guide at its literal word. That leads to these hilarious situations where we're getting, like, the first Lifeblood, and the first Whispering Root, and the first one other really funny thing that I'm not gonna spoil yet. But actually, like, setting aside my discourse-obsessed speedrunner brain for a moment, I think it's a pretty well put together, like, insofar as any casual player guide of a Metroidvania is gonna be a thing, I gotta give props to IGN. We are going back. So that postcard on the ground was Cornifer telling me that, like, I missed him in this area. If you complete the, like, major objective of an area before talking to Cornifer, he leaves the area and tells you to go get the map from Zelda, which you can do sort of at your leisure. It's never possible to, like, Cornifer just doesn't show up in Resting Grounds. It's never possible to catch him there. You always have to get the Resting Grounds map from Zelda. So, of course, the guide tells us to go back to Dirtmouth and get the Resting Grounds map as soon as possible, despite the fact that we have now fully cleared out Resting Grounds for everything we're going to need it for this entire run. It's beautiful. We won't be getting lost. And, you know, I think that's important and beautiful. I am going to take a little bit of time lost just to say hello real quick to my rival here. Hi, Mila. How you doing, Mila? Good talk, Mila. Bye, Mila. I probably won't be seeing her again unless I'm way underestimate, and then we have an opportunity to do something really funny, Twitch chat. But we'll see. We'll see how it's...
Priorities, right? Priorities,
exactly.
Quack.
Go fast first, meme around a little bit later. And by that I mean the entire speedrun is memeing around, so let's at least go fast. So with that, we are into Crystal Peak. Crystal Peak is... There's really only one objective in Crystal Peak. Well, there's an objective and a half. I guess we're doing the bonus objective in Crystal Peak. I am going to go for one of the swaggier skips in Hollow Knight here. And of course we're going to get it because Pogax is free and easy. No one DM me. It's a free and easy trick, and speedrunning isn't difficult. No one has ever had a bad time speedrunning a video game in their life. What I am going to do, however, is get the map. You guessed it. Hi, Cornifer. I missed you just a little while ago. I'm also, just for pure safety, ideally I won't need this relic. That's not how counting works, Quacksilver. Ideally I won't need this relic, but just in case I have done math wrong, it's happened before, it will happen again. That gives me a nice and easy backup to sell to Lem a little bit later in the run. Gonna take that room again, it's cycle-based. Because we want to avoid that laser. And we're just going to be doing some platforming here. Everything seems kind of intimidating. The nice thing about Crystal Peak is that it is extremely cycle-based. So we're just sort of chilling and doing some rote movement. So, Joe, if you got any messages or donos or anything in between, let the people know what is good.
Absolutely, Quack. I got you covered. Together, everybody, so far, we have raised $265 towards Blue Path, an amazing nonprofit that provides autism service dogs that offer safety, companionship, and opportunities for independence. Their vision is to be the definitive leader in autism service dog provision that will transform the lives of individuals, families, and communities. When you go to donate, you know it's going to a great cause because Blue Path's expertly trained autism service dogs offer safety and freedom to families. A Blue Path service dog's primary role is to provide safety for a child out in public. The dogs are trained to prevent a child from bolting either into the street or away from their parents into a crowded area. They also provide children with much needed companionship, increased social acknowledgement from their peers, and opportunities for independence and increased levels of confidence. So together, we are helping change lives here. Everybody, I believe in you. We can keep making that number go up. I know all of us, we love it when that happens. Let's keep on raising money for this amazing, amazing charity.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just say, okay, so here's the thing. This scrub just doesn't get mentioned in the guide, and I think that's a crime shame, but you know, I gotta do what it says, so we can't save that grub. But if you're mad at me because I am abandoning that grub, I have two things to say. Number one, you can still force me to save one extra grub later. Number two, this grub, this next grub, which is objectively way more out of the way, the guide has like a whole section on going to go save. So in this regard, there is balance in all things. I'm also going to try and take saving this grub as an opportunity to set up a skip here. We're going to be picking up an item called Descending Dark, which is like an upgraded version of our dive. And yes, okay, so I've lured this buggy into position here. And hopefully, he's gonna shoot crystal at me whenever he feels like it. Nice. And this way, I can sort of gain early control again. Like I said, there are like 4 million ways to get early control. And now, we're getting some never-before-seen, never-again-seen routing in this speedrun, because we're actually going backwards through this dark room. No category does this. It makes literally no sense to do this, but we have an incredibly important objective to go acquire, and that is a charm that I'm never going to equip once in this speedrun. I also don't want to die here. We're going back for Deep Focus, y'all. Deep Focus is one of a pair of charms that affects the knight's heal. Deep Focus and Quick Focus. Quick Focus, obviously, speeds up your heal. Deep Focus slows down your heal, but makes it so that your heal heals you 2 health. I don't know why it took me so long to reach the word health. Heals 2 health instead of 1. Quick Focus is in the Salubra shop, and so I have made the choice to, you know, not buy it because it's like 800 geo. It's like randomly really expensive. But Deep Focus is called out by the guide explicitly, and so we're gonna go ahead and get Deep Focus. Alright, and with that, we are finally, y'all, it is finally time to once again address the plot of the video game. We've been having a lot of fun here, but I am going to actually, move towards our first dreamer here. It's time to get Hera. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stag to Queen's Station, which was a stag I got, 1,000,006 years ago. We've gotten so many stags, and we're headed towards Deep Nest. Deep Nest is the area that has the most dark rooms by volume. Like, solidly half of it is dark, and so I am incredibly grateful that we had to get the lantern for the far less scary Royal Waterways. Something neat about this path towards deepness is if you're actually interested in getting into Hollow Knight speedrunning, perhaps you, much like all of us, are in full clown makeup, eagerly awaiting the release of Silksong. This represents a very good safety route, like a beginner-friendly sort of route for any percent, to avoid having to do one of the more technical skips in the game. So you can get really comfy with deepness pretty early on in your speedrunning journey, and then segue towards categories that do it in the dark, which I think is super cool. A nice little quirky interaction of the game here is that we have to get the map from Cornifer. I actually can't interact with Cornifer until the area text is cleared from my screen, so I just drop into that transition and then pop back up because it automatically clears the area text and lets me talk to Cornifer a little bit faster. Something else to mention is that Hollow Knight is conventionally timed with all of the loads removed, so the time you will see my muscle memory is generally to just like retake transitions or to dip in and out of transitions as need be. But I don't know the timing of things in RTA to that degree. Sometimes it's important to just let your muscle memory rock, you know? Alright. Why should I get things? Something that I haven't talked about is inventory dropping. On this patch of the game, if you open your inventory on the physics frame that the knight walks off a ledge, you'll open your inventory mid-air, and it uncaps your fall speed and stops you from hard falling, which is a nice little incidental bonus. On earlier patches of the game, you used to be able to open your inventory freely in mid-air. They tried to remove it. They successfully removed it in some but not all cases, and so now instead of not having the tech, it's just harder. It is what it is. Current patch has a number of actually quite real quality of life things. That is the major reason I run on it. There are separate leaderboards for both down patch and current patch versions of the game. One of the nicest things about current patch that is actually super relevant here is that the Dash Master charm, which I've had equipped for the entire time that I've been doing this run, you may recall, is the way its behavior is different on different patches. So Dash Master, in addition to making you dash faster, also lets you dash down. Look at that convenient example. The way diagonals are treated by the game is it prioritizes dashing down on earlier patches and dashing sideways on current patch. Dashing sideways is way better for low glitch categories because oftentimes you're like pogoing spikes and you want to dash immediately afterwards. And on earlier patches, it was way too easy to pogo spikes and then immediately down dash into those spikes. So, you know, it's the QOL like that, and also the game just running a lot better that I like about current. No bias, though. Extreme bias.
Absolute extreme bias.
Extreme bias, and I'm not sorry. So now it's time for my absolute favorite, entry in this guide, bar none. The Lifeblood in King's Pass was pretty funny. The Whispering Root in Resting Ground was pretty funny. But hey, friends. Hey, Twitch chat, we've all gotten to know each other pretty well. Can I offer anyone a nice egg in this trying time? This is a rancid egg. It has literally no value whatsoever to our speedrun. It's not even like a major currency that we can use. Its primary use is you can trade it in with an NPC to summon your shade back to you after you die. So this game has kind of like a Dark Souls mechanic where when you die, you drop all your money. And you have to go, like, you leave a shade in the overworld that you have to actually go kill to get your money back. But if you die somewhere inconvenient, you can you can go to an NPC, give them a delicious egg, and get your shade back. You would think that the guide would have pointed out the existence of that mechanic a long time ago, because surely a casual player might have died at some point before now. But no, it's just this egg. It's no other egg. That egg keeps me up at night. I rotate that egg in my mind in 3D once a week. here we are. Also, it's almost time to save or abandon the grub. So, Joe, how are we looking on that bid war?
Absolutely. Right now, there is a $10 difference between the two. Save the Grub is in the lead. Everybody,
okay.
You have only a short amount of time. Get your donos in. You can snipe it. We can abandon the grub. Or if you want to make sure that we save the grub, get it in. Increase that lead, and let's make it happen.
I'm going to say 45 seconds, not to put too much pressure on my frame savers. But it depends on how much I remember about these devouts. I'm gonna take it safe because I don't have Shaman Stone. And also to give more time for snipes. Alright, there's one more of those that we're gonna have to deal with, but not before the grub. So make your voices known. I'm in Beast Den. Two of the dreamers, of the three dreamers that we have to acquire for game completion, are guarded by bosses. This one is just guarded, excuse me, is just guarded by spiders. It's worse. It's worse. I will take the bosses. Well, it's actually the middle of the three. It's better in some respects. I'm getting pranked. I'm getting pranked in my favorite video game. All right, I need the answer while I heal here. Are we saving or abandoning the grub?
We are saving the grub. Saving the grub comes in at $75. Abandoning the grub at $65. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of the donations that got us to this result.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. So the crazy thing, right? The absolutely wild thing is the guide goes, and you can check this. You can check my work here. The guide has a picture of that grub and tells you, go left here. So, depending on your interpretation, it's pictured. So it could be telling us to save it. The literal instructions of the text in it is to abandon that grub. That grub is also the only grub that the any% speedrun, the real any% speedrun, walks by at all. And so it is an iconic piece of Hollow Knight's speedrunning lore. Different runners have different personalities around whether you save it or you abandon it. It's like basically no time difference at all because you can just save it while you're dropping through the area, so you don't realistically lose time. It's just an aesthetic thing. It is like every bid war in a Hollow Knight run is save or abandon that grub, and the fact that the stars align to make it real for the IGN run as well. I like to think IGN is looking out for us, the speedrunners, if you ignore the quill and the lifeblood and the delicious egg.
And the everything. The only thing they're not looking out for is those poor grubs.
Yeah, and all the other grubs that we had to abandon. This is where I would put Shaman on if I could do that, haha. Don't mind me, we're fine. Everything is chill.
Mind if I jump in with a dono?
Absolutely.
All right, we had a $5 donation from Nyx that they gave us some points here. We got a couple of bullet points. We've got deep focus cycles. We're not supposed to be given names. They also say years of Dash Master, yet no real world found use for going faster than your dash speed. They also let us know that if you wanted to go faster anyway for a laugh, well, we had a tool for that, and it was called Crystal Heart. Thank you, Nyx, for that dono. And just as a side note, by donating, they have entered themselves in automatically to our sweepstakes where you can win a copy of some of the games that are featured here this marathon. We're going to be giving away copies of Fae Farm coming up in 2 games, and Bow Path of the Teal Lotus, Hi-Fi Rush, and a combo pack of Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion and Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. Tune in every day this week to see all the games in action. You can also find out all details of the sweepstakes by typing !prizes or !sweepstakes in the chat.
That is an absurdly stacked lineup of games, and I think it's the first time I'm actually hearing all of them read out. That's like no bias, but dang, noted for later. Anyway, what is going on now is we have to talk about orange notes again, because this is an orange note that we are setting up for, but unfortunately not going to be realizing today, because we don't have the time for it. I'm picking up a pale ore here. Pale ore are the materials needed to get higher level nail upgrades. The guide does have an orange note where it instructs you how to level up your nail all the way to nail 3, which involves basically doing a full second tier of the map, and like doing the Coliseum of Fools and just a whole lot of other unhinged nonsense. It is a little bit too long to justifiably include in a run like this. However, the guide does tell you to get this pale ore. It always tells you to get that pale ore in anticipation of maybe speccing into doing that. So we are honor bound to get that one pale ore, despite never paying it off. But one thing that always pays off is getting the map. So I got another map. This is once again where I would make sure my charms were good if I needed to change charms. It's good. Y'all are making me do less work. It's fine. I don't need to worry about charming. Speaking of things that I am literally never going to use, I'm also going to be picking up another simple key in this area. We used our first simple key, the only simple key that we're actually using to get into the Royal Waterways. It feels like so long ago. Never lucky. But here's another one. Thankfully, it's not too far out of the way. Coming up is one of the most important bits of tech in the run. Not that. That was just embarrassing. What the important tech is, however, it is a technique called a trans dash. And the way it works is you trans your dash. This is because trans rights are human rights, and the Mullets disagree today. That's fine. But hopefully we can get this in one. It saves, like, a little bit of time. Let's go! Shoutouts to all of my trans comrades. You are the best. And now let's fight the broken vessel. Shall we? I'm gonna go to full just because the fight's not that different with and without soul when you don't have shaman. And we're gonna be extra safe. Oh, but I have Dash Master. You know what's wild is remembering the charms that you have equipped in the video game. He dead? He's not dead. It's the shaman. It's the shaman for sure. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's Broken Vessel.
Good fight.
So one of the things that we don't have that's kind of a little bit odd, we'll get into it later, is the upgraded Fireball. The upgraded Fireball, again, because of its power to double hit, is typically the first thing a speedrun that goes here will worry about acquiring, because it's just that useful. Descending Dark actually does more raw damage than Fireball does, but it's just way easier to line up doubles, and on certain bosses even triples with Shade Soul, and so it is generally the preferred tool. Descending Dark, however, does give you iframes, which does make it a much better casual spell. Excuse me, if you're, like, learning how to incorporate spells into your playstyle. Big fan of Descending Dark. Iframes are good. Iframes are just universally pretty good. How am I doing on Geo here? 300 and 120 is 420, and 800 is 1220. I did not fail at math. Let's go, gamers.
GG.
This will all make sense. This will all make sense so soon, I promise. Once I actually spend this money, you'll see how... I hesitate to say smart, but how not catastrophically stupid I am. We're doing great. I am going to take the stag back to King's Station here.
I mean, admittedly, Quack, that's my goals on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
Like, I just don't want to be catastrophically stupid.
If we can avoid catastrophe, we can be a little bit stupid as a treat. That's the energy I am trying to bring. Mila here agrees with me. Speaking of a little bit stupid as a treat, sometimes you just hit the exploding things because it's fun to do so. Alright, once again...
Intrusive thoughts sometimes win, right?
Exactly. We're once again going to grab a map. This one, I'm pretty confident it's not actually faster RTA to try and get rid of the area text, because you have to go a little bit further out. And then we're going to do an acid skip, something that I am sure is intended by the IGN guide. We're also going to see how many tries it takes me to get said acid skip, but it'll be fun. Never mind, we're gaming. So that actually, it just like manipulates the knight's hazard respawn point. Nice snapback there, Pro Controller. It manipulates the knight's hazard respawn when you dash under that little lip. So you spawn facing forwards, which is super neat. Alright, I'm gonna take this bench. Coming up is probably the hardest boss in the run, just because of the weird loadout that I've got. We're gonna make our weird loadout a little bit weirder first, because there is still one category of items that I have yet to get just like a partial completion on. That would of course be the nail arts. There are 3 nail arts in this game. And we're going to be getting exactly one of them. Very unhelpfully, the only one that the IGN guide calls out is the one that costs a whole bunch of money. Which is, you know, a little bit rude if you ask me, but as luck would have it, I happen to have just a little bit more than the 800 remaining to buy the dash slash. We're never going to either of the areas, never going or going back to either of the areas with the other 2 nail arts at any point in this route. So, you know, I have the dash slash now. It's also definitely the least useful of the 3 for our purposes. The IGN guide giveth and the IGN guide taketh away. You know what I'm saying? Alright, but I am going, so I'm going to show everyone just my favorite little quirk of this video game, and then I am going to focus up for a little bit, because without an upgraded Fireball or Shaman Stone, this fight actually has a non-zero chance of going a little bit awry. But first I'm going to show you the most important bit of tech here, which is I can Crystal Dash into this cutscene, and now I'm T-posing on him. The knight's just going to get locked into this animation until I take damage or cast a spell. We're T-posing on him, and that's important. Okay, there we go. I took damage, so now, unfortunately, our T-posing must come to an end, but it was fun while it lasted. And I wish Hornet would stop walking into me. That's one of the scariest attacks any boss can throw at you, is the walk into you menacingly attack. One of the things about this fight is that it's very... Hornet's, inter-attack cooldown is very low, and she also likes to parry you. The needle throw attack is great if you can react to it, because it gives you plenty of time to... where you know she's not going to be able to parry you, where you can fit in damage for basically free. Alright, what are we doing, friend? Alright. No sweat. Took it a little safe at the end there, but I am very happy with that Hornet fight for the loadout that I'm working with.
Yeah, that was great, Quack.
Alright. It's time to do more story. This is the King's Brand. We normally don't get this in an any percent speedrun, because it's not strictly required for any percent. It is a critical plot-required part of the true ending speedrun, but we're actually just getting this so that we can get basically a recommended safety for this casual any percent. We're going to be picking up the Shade Cloak next, which is in the area that is locked by getting the King's Brand. It gives your dash... Let me not get hit by that stalactite. It gives your dash some iframes itself, so you can all dash through enemies, and it just generally makes you a lot harder to pin down in combat. It is wildly out of the way in the context of an any percent speedrun, but, you know, I've got time. I'm hanging out with my favorite Twitch chat in the whole world, playing a video game the intended way. No one DM me. And speaking of hanging out with my favorite Twitch chat in the whole world, we're just going to walk on down to the Abyss. So, Joe, if you got messages, tell me what's new with you. What's new in your world?
I'll tell you what's new in my world. I'll be greedy for a second if I can.
Please.
I recently became a dad, so I want to give a shout out to my beautiful wife Stephanie and our son, who we lovingly call Baby Bingus here in the community.
Yo, let's go,
yeah,
Bingus.
August 27th, life changed forever. So I'll take that second to be greedy. I thank you for that, Quack, and I'll give everyone an update on our target macro shooting insight upgrade to very hard difficulty on that DLC. We are at 50% of the way there. Twitch chat, $100 needed to unlock it. We sit at $50. We're only halfway there. You can do the song. I'm not going to blow your eardrums by doing it. But I believe in you, Twitch chat. We can make that happen. And I really want to focus on that target, the macro shooting insight, but because you can put your donations to multiple incentives, you can also jump into that poll that just opened up, which is, what is the starting weapon for Death's Door? We've got sword, greatsword, hammer, daggers, umbrella. You know, I like that umbrella, but it's up to you. When you go to donate, select that poll, select that target, and let's unlock that difficulty upgrade for macro shooting insight. Thank you, Quack, for that.
Of course, I'm gonna let the good people here in on a little secret. The umbrella. So there are 5 options on that Death's Door poll. I'm a big Death's Door fan. TFT and Grad are absolutely going to kill it. There are 5 options on that Death's Door poll, but we're really gonna be pushing for 2 of them. Okay? The umbrella is an in-game challenge weapon that cuts out the runner's damage output in half. So that's a very spicy and fun option. And the Thunder Hammer is a weapon that never sees any use in any speedrun, as opposed to the Umbrella, which does have like dedicated speedrun categories for it because it is an in-game challenge weapon. But the Thunder Hammer has a wacky moveset and it's never seen anywhere else. So it might actually legitimately make the runner's lives a little bit harder than even the Umbrella, but I really want to highlight those 2 options. I'm going to be hosting for that run when it does happen, and so if you would join me in making their lives playfully miserable, I think that would be awesome.
You gotta love it, right? I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to do with you here, and make it, you know, just miserable enough to tolerate and make it fun.
Exactly. Playfully miserable is the theme of what we do here. No, but yeah, it's definitely worth your while, obviously, as is supporting Blue Path generally. This was the Abyss. Not much to comment on in terms of movement. I did just pick up the Shade Cloak. We save and quit there, because the cutscene of, like, the knight absorbing the power of shadow and getting all edgy or whatever is, like, really long for some reason. So it is even a fair bit faster RTA. You technically have the Shade Cloak as soon as you touch the little fountain there. So it's faster to just save quit out right away, have the item, and then be on our merry way. Now we get to do some of shout-outs once again to Insomnia, who is unfortunately sick and couldn't be with us today. I'm going to do, objectively, a far worse job of this next movement section. This is the fabled Abyss Climb, and I've already started from the wrong location, so we're doing great. This is the fabled Abyss Climb, and you want to be pogoing the outside of the spikes. Nice. I'm just showing you how the casual playthrough intends to go through this Abyss Climb. May is an IL runner of this climb specifically. Alright, there's like a 3 pogo strap, but I think we don't have it today. May is an IL runner of this movement specifically, so what everyone's gonna do is, the next time she's back to fighting fit and running Hollow Knight, you're gonna hit up her Twitch channel and gas her up to do some Abyss Climb specifically, because you can do that entire movement in like 25 seconds or something genuinely absurd, and it is a treat to watch. And I'm glad that me saying that has covered for my performance there. It's fine, we're having a great time. With that, it is actually time. I'm not out of the woods yet. It's time for the hardest skip in the run. We're gonna do a spike tunnel followed by a number of acid skips. So I need to get the acid swim ability. I don't need to get the acid swim ability. There's actually no reason for me to get the acid swim ability. There's no reason for any speedrun that does not literally require the completion percentage to get the acid swim ability. But the guide does tell me to get it, so I'm gonna get it. And we need to skip our way into the Isthmus Tier section of waterways. I did not actually unlock the regular way to do this, but I need these spikes to behave with me. All right, that's probably the hardest part, so getting that in one is a good sign.
That was a great skip, yeah.
All right, and now we just got a couple of acid skips, and I don't have Shade Soul, so I can't clear the way. Okay, but the Whormp's not gonna bully me. All right, and we're chilling.
Yeah, that was great.
That was very clean. After the Abyss Climb, I was a little bit worried. That was very clean, and this Whormp is going to very obligingly knock me out of the loss of control there, because it's time to get our final grub for the run. This is also out of the way, but once again, the guide explicitly says, get the grub behind Isthmus Tier. So, you know, the guide does care about grubs after all. Again, if you ignore all the ones we didn't save. Yes, okay, and now, this is only technically in the guide. We could just save quit out there to go back to our bench at King Station. However, we have to say hello to my girlfriend. This is extremely important. There's an NPC in this game that not many people know about. Her name is Eternal Emilicia. Her whole shtick is that she's locked herself in this house because she plans on outliving everyone, outlasting the fall of civilization. Her laugh is beautiful, and she is my wife. Thank you for understanding. We will now resume the speed run. Now we actually have to do some fun backtracking for a second, because it's time to finally get the upgrades that we've been putting off for like one speedrun length so far. It's time to finally get the upgraded fireball. So I'm gonna go to Lem here. I need to do one final cash out in terms of my relics. I'm just gonna kill these guys. A interesting fact about this game is after you have any number of dreamers in your inventory, Lem takes a trip down here to see the fountain. It is, like, interesting in story purposes, but practically it means we need to route around making sure we can pick him back to his shop. I don't need to sell all of these, actually. I over-prepared because I was careful. So we're just gonna save these things. Yeah, that should be enough for the rest of the run, I think. And then we're gonna take a bench over here. No, I'm not gonna take a bench over here. This is, ha. This is the fun part of the run, where everything sort of comes undone. So, in order to get Shade Soul, which is our upgraded fireball, we need a key called the Elegant Key. In order to get the Elegant Key, we need a key called the Shopkeeper's Key. The Elegant Key is purchased from Sly, but not until you give him the Shopkeeper's Key. It is the most just rancid case of capitalism run amok I can think of. You need to find a key to buy a key to a different area. SMH, my head. The first key, the Shopkeeper's Key, is actually in Crystal Peak, and we passed it like twice while we were zigzagging across Crystal Peak earlier. However, the guide conveniently forgot that Shopkey existed until, right now. So we're going back to Crystal Peak real quick for a third time, just to pick up Shopkey and then peace out so that we can buy the Elegant Key so that we can finally get our damage fully online for the final 3 bosses of the run. Gaming!
Gaming at its finest, Quack.
Exactly. This is a very serious speedrun for very serious speedrunners. Like I said, first and probably last time this gets showcased. I just wanted to, I feel like we don't, as speedrunners, we forget so easily what the, like, casual experience of playing a video game is like. And in my case, I forget it because I oftentimes just straight up skip it altogether. I will do first playthrough challenge runs or first playthrough blind speed runs. That's my damage. It doesn't have to be everyone's damage. But we're having a good time. And so I just wanted to, like, you know, remember. I wanted to remember a little bit what the intended casual experience of playing one of my favorite games was like. Again, if you ignore all of the speedrun skips and things. Alright. Now, we are in kind of the end game now. I'm gonna get that upgraded fireball. We're gonna kind of Zerg rush the remaining 2 Dreamers. I'm going to remember where to C-dash from and not C-dash directly into enemies. We're going to grab a sort of mid-city bench here. So the reason we went on a whole detour to get the double jump ability is because the guy didn't know that that background object is breakable and you can actually just get up here without wings. So the guide assumes, oh, we needed wings to go to this, like, to this area at all, when that is simply not true. That's one of the, like, first, like, oh wow, the game devs doing really cool stuff, because they put it there. They obviously knew. They put it there, they made it pogoable. Alright, rude of you to just, like, avoid all of... Alright, we're chilling. Okay, we're gonna move over quickly. So, way back, it feels like it's been hours since I've been in Soul Sanctum. Way back in Soul Sanctum, we fought a mini-boss, who is colloquially by the community referred to as Norman. His proper name is a Soul Warrior. And there's a second one that's like sort of a slightly souped-up version of the mini-boss that spawns little flying ads and has almost twice the health, that is guarding Shade Soul. So the way we've got this set up is we've got the closest bench to the next major story boss, the next Dreamer, that we can have. And we're gonna park our bench there and go get Shade Soul. Save quit right back. I handled my elevators poorly. Shame on past Quack. We're gonna save quit right back there, and then immediately it's just Dreamer, final boss, and we're done. Well, Dreamer, one remaining map. Dreamer, final boss, and then we're done.
We're moving along. So, Quack, do you mind if I just give a friendly reminder to everyone watching?
Please do.
All right, everybody, we are making great progress. Quack is just too good in this IGN % run. I want to give everyone a reminder of that target for macro shooting insight for us to upgrade to the very hard difficulty. Magus is going to be suiting up shortly. We are 50% of the way there, $50 only to unlock that increase in difficulty. I believe in you, Twitch chat, but it needs to be met before the start of the run. Let's keep it going. Get that $5 train running if you're playing the new Zelda game. Or, you know what? Again, if you want to just let Quack know how you feel about those grubs, really, truly, this is your chance to do it because that window is closing. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, tell me about your casual playthrough. I know you played Hollow Knight. I know this crowd is an indie game enjoyer crowd. You cannot hide from me, Twitch chat. Tell me about your Hollow Knight casual playthrough. Tell me about my Hollow Knight casual playthrough, as it sure is happening. Ignore that damage I just took, it's fine. We're gonna go fight the Watcher Knights while you do. So, one of the coolest things in the guide, I've said that too many times. Another cool thing in the guide is that the guide knows about this all-important speedrun strat, which is when you go to fight the Watcher Knights, there's a chandelier hidden up in the ceiling here that you can drop before the fight starts. I'm gonna heal to be safe. I don't have Shaman Stone. You never know. You can drop a chandelier before the fight starts, and that reduces the total number of Watcher Knights you have to fight from 6 to just 5. which is huge. Because after the first one, they start coming at you in waves of 2. The any percent speedrun has to do this fight with just base Vengeful Spirit and Shaman Stone. So it's quite difficult. I'm gonna quiet down and focus for a second, because I've taken a little bit more damage than I would like. Alright, we're good. We're chill.
Oh, great.
The thing about the
job.
Watcher
That was
Knights
great,
fight
Quack.
is with Shaman Stone D-Dark, you can rotate your damage fast enough that you can kill them before they have a good amount of time to split up. Without Shaman, that's just not true, so you actually have to go into a slightly more any percent mindset of like, how do I keep them grouped up together? How am I making sure that my damage is absolutely maximized? It's still a much faster fight than when you just have basic Fireball. But there are a lot more moving parts to it. And we've got, with that, this is our second to last streamer. We've got just one more area, one more boss, and then we're at the end of the game. So, you got precious little time on that upgrade incentive, it sounds like. But of course, there is still one more map to grab. The Fog Canyon map is actually absurdly out of the way for basically no reason. It is one of the curiosities of this, like, the guide plays very well with itself, because we can take a super fast route to get the upcoming Fog Canyon map, because we had to go all the way out of our way earlier in order to get the Shade Cloak. Because there's a shortcut to that map that goes through a Shade Gate, which can be bypassed with the Shade Cloak. That's called Gamer Drop. It's my favorite. It doesn't actually save time, but swag is important too. But yeah, we are just moving. I gotta get one more map, but I'm just sort of walking. At this point, we're just kind of walking to the next boss, polishing it off, and then we'll get into some real endgame stuff. So, Joe, the floor is yours with any messages, updates, pushes, any of that stuff.
Happy to oblige. You know I got you covered. Everybody, I want to remind you as to why we are all here, and that is Blue Path. We are aiming to raise $5,000 so we can name another dog. Let's just be honest, that's why we are all here. We really just want to name a third dog. We've had the pleasure of naming 2 dogs prior. Thunder, the original, who is now an explosive detection dog, and we're expecting to receive updates on the birth of our next pupper, which will be named Lightning come around January 2025. We have the entire weekend to make it happen. I know that we can do it, but we want to name that third doggo, everybody.
It was one of those beautiful things. I remember seeing the poll, the naming poll for Multithon's second pup, and as soon as someone threw out Lightning, it was like, well, good game. It's just too perfect. I love each and every one of you helping raise money for this awesome cause.
I'd love to say that it was me that came up with the name Lightning, but it was another user in the community that dropped Lightning, and then a minute later I was like, I second that. And I think very shortly, I might have been on shift at that time during that event, and I dropped it. I was like, I'm taking credit for this. I'm stealing it from you, and this is going to be my thing. I'm like, we've named it Thunder. Let's name it Lightning. I know that we can do it, but it was beautiful, and we can't wait for the birth of Lightning come in January.
God, it's so weird to see baby Shade Soul. The number of times that you have Shade Soul, like that you bother to go get Shade Soul, but don't equip Shaman, I did not even pick up the map. We're doing so good. We went through this alternate path. We did the whole thing. All of the explosives have respawned. I'm just stalling for incentives. We are, as the kids say, throwing a little bit for content. No, we're gonna grab this final map, which is so out of the way that I did not even remember it was real. There's our final map. We have now done it. There are 2 areas that technically have maps that we never set foot in. but every area that we so much as glanced at in this speedrun, we have mapped out, because we are nothing if not a dedicated cartographer.
We are now $45 away from that incentive, Quack. We're making some good progress.
Amazing. I believe in you, Twitch chat. I will keep saying it, and you will keep making it true. True and worthwhile. Alright. Unfortunately, our penultimate boss is my least favorite boss, and it's not close. Umu is the meanest jellyfish to ever do it. It's nothing but nasty cycles. So this is a very interesting loadout, because it's not a loadout you see in any other speedrun. I know with Nail Zero and Shaman Stone and the spells I've got, a 1 cycle on this boss is doable. With Nail Zero and no Shaman Stone and the spells I've got, a 1 cycle on this boss is basically impossible. With Nail 1 and the spells I've got, I don't know, so I'm just gonna do the damage rotation that I know, and we're gonna see what happens. It's gonna be so much fun. We gotta wait patiently for Umu to become vulnerable. Then I'm gonna open my inventory to knock back cancel here. Nope, we didn't get the double hit. Alright, that's fair. That's fair. We got 1 more cycle. So Umu can randomly give you either short or long attacks. Long attacks are obviously worse. Please give me the stream nail. Alright, we should be good then. Yeah, there we go. Okay, 2 cycle Umu. Given no shaman, I'm fine with that.
It was a solid fight.
The worst thing is that Umu can sometimes randomly decide to give you an extra attack. So you typically get 3 attacks in phase 1, and 2 attacks in all subsequent phases. But sometimes Umu can just decide, your run does not deserve to PB today, and just throw you an extra. The fight, it's not speedrun friendly. I didn't enjoy it casually. It's one of the only jellyfish I've ever truly had beef with. Besmirching the legacy of Metroids and also Club Nintendo % in this case. You gotta, like, L's in the chat for Umu. But it's okay, it's over. We have all 3 of our dreamers. And so now it's time to go end the game.
Do I have time for a quick dono that's calling you out, Quack?
Oh, please.
We have a $5 donation from Happy by 3 that says, "Hey Quack, why haven't you bopped my time in CC yet? Is it because you're scared? Anyway, I miss you."
Happy, I was practicing this. I was making sure not to be a complete fool at Multithon Rivals 2024. SMH, my head. I think you have a vested interest in this marathon being good. I don't know why I slipped into that tone. But we committed. We committed to the bit. Happy, of course, referring to Crypt Custodian, another darling indie game that has just come out by another phenomenal dev in Kyle Thompson. You can expect to see that at the next one of these, next Multithon, next other events. It's a good game. Indie games are pretty cool. If there's one note that I can just sort of end on here as we move our way towards the final boss, it's that indie games are pretty cool. I don't think I have to convince this particular Twitch chat of the fact that indie games are cool, but like, I wanted it said. They're pretty cool. You should like run them or whatever. You should play them. You should say nice things to devs. You should I don't know, wish list games. I think that's what the conventional wisdom is now. You gotta get that on your wish list early.
Yeah, just support them, because we need more indie devs and indie games out there. Push the industry and push those boundaries, and let's honestly get new ideas out there. It only comes through these indie devs nowadays.
Yep, and you know, one day there will be an indie dev that releases Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, I gotta get one last jab on our way in. We're headed to the Black Egg Temple, which is where the final boss is located. I have technically a half an item left to collect. This is one of the niceties. It is an item in the sense of the randomizer mod, which actually makes this an item. In the game's code, it's called the World Sense ability. It's not actually an ability, but by interacting with the lore tablet here in the Black Egg Temple, I will gain an attunement with the state of the world. And what that means is that I can now see my completion percentage. So we've beaten 44% of the game, which is honestly, I think, about where I got to in my casual playthrough. I feel like my first pass through the game, I was not super big on exploring. As soon as I figured out what I needed to do, I kind of only cleared out things that were more or less on my way. And so I feel like, yeah, my first any percent, like, credit sequence was about 55%, I want to say. So yeah, this is the Hollow Knight from the hit indie game, Hollow Knight. It's not us, common misconception. He also has berries, which is not good. But
Big fan.
It's fine. I have Shade Float. Ha, get owned, nerd. I don't even care. I deserve that one. Time is going to be when I absorb this boss. He's gonna do another scream in a little bit, and then I'm going to maybe heal here so that I don't get... Yeah, we're definitely gonna heal at the next stagger. Okay. Cool! Okay, no shaman. That's fine. We're throwing for incentives.
It totally wasn't because we were talking smack, you know, it's fine.
Exactly. This is what I deserve. I could have bought Shaman Stone. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I simply could have bought could have equipped Shaman Stone. And we didn't, because we're honorable, and we like raising money for charity. And we're going to use Descending Dark, which, did you know that, why are you dying to video game bosses? Just use Descending Dark. It gives you iframes. Alright, sir. Did you not?
We are only $35 away from that incentive for Macros to upgrade that difficulty. Come on, Twitch chat, I believe in you.
Alright, there is the second screen we were looking for. So the Hollow Knight's gonna go all emo in this phase. And now he actually, other than having that attack specifically, which deals double damage, and is a little bit scary, now he actually becomes way easier. I cannot believe I was too far away to get that final screen skip. Alright, time is going to be coming up here in just a second. It's going to be when the screen fully fades to black after I absorb this boss. Thank you so much to everyone at Multithon for letting me show off this absolutely bananas category. It was a ton of fun. This is one of my favorite places to be on the internet. A little cold here for 1 sec. That is time.
GG, Quack.
You know, for impromptu shamanless, that was pretty good. So it's gonna be really loud for a sec, so I'll give some shoutouts as soon as this cutscene finishes. That was the worst conducting I've ever done in my entire life. Hi friends, I've been Quacksilver. You can find me on the internet generally. The credits are gonna roll, so I won't be able to load in and go kill Mila at the end of the run. Unfortunately, you'll simply have to do it in your heads or in your own playthroughs of this video game. I'm on the internet at twitch.tv/QuacksilverPlays. Probably other places also eventually or sometimes. I'm also going to be at this little event called Multithon Rivals in like 3 hours, hosting a video game trivia game show, so you'll want to stick around for that. That's going to be pretty cool, I think. I have some high hopes for it. But yeah, that's it from me. Thanks, Joe, for hanging out with me for these past 2 hours, and to Multithon for letting this all happen.
Quack, you know it is an absolute pleasure anytime that we get to hang out together. You are what I call a multi-talent, my friend. You are phenomenal, both behind the microphone, which I know everyone here watching is going to have a blast getting to hear you behind the mic and hosting the game show. And second, you are also a phenomenal speed runner. It's always a pleasure every time we have a chance to work together. So thank you very, very much for joining us here at Multithon Rivals 2024 and for everything else you're going to get to do over the remainder of the marathon. It's been a pleasure, my friend. All right, everybody, with that, let's give it up one more time for the one, the only, the amazing Quacksilver. Thank you so much for that amazing IGN percent. Wait, one more time? IGN percent? Yeah, IGN percent run of Hollow Knight. Everybody, we're going to be taking a very quick break while we get set up for our next run. It's a great time to stretch. Maybe grab